I need undivided attention. I'm trying to make our last 2 days before vacation pain-free, but we need to do a little bit of review for about 20-25 minutes. After that, the time is yours. You can be listening to music as you're doing the factoring and the greatest common factor. But if you want to have any sort of shot at the rest of the year, you got to know how to do this. If you can manipulate the equations and actually think about the words that are in front of you, you're going to be fine. Some of you are just staring at the problem and thinking about everything when you should be focused on one or two things at a time. Kyle, let's look this way. What are the two words that are in the form that I'm looking for? Point slope. Do you see any points up here?
No. Yes, two.
You can choose any one that you want. I'm going to choose the first one. So over here, I'm going to write down point is 5.4. You do the same thing. If I do something, you do it. What you're doing is not working. There were two possible answers to that first question on the test because you could have chosen either point. That takes care of that. But what's the second word?
Slope.
How do you find the slope when you have 2 points? What formula? What formula do we need to use when we have 2 points? What's the slope formula?
Isn't like y equals.
That's the slope-intercept form. But how do you find just the slope? Put this off to the side. As soon as you get your retest on Friday, that should be the very first thing you write down. Because you will use that 2 or 3 times on this retest. You will use it 4 or 5 times on the SOL test at the end of the year. This does not show up on any formula sheet. You've got to memorize it. Label x1, y1, x2, y2. When you're doing the slope, write it this way. Put a fraction bar, put 2 subtraction signs. That way you don't confuse it with any of the numbers that are up here or any of the negative signs. So put subtraction over subtraction. What am I going to put on the top of this formula based on these 2 points?
5 and 6.
Top.
4 and -1.
All right, but I'm going to go by my label, so I'm going to have the -1 here. The y1 is 4, and the 6 and the 5 go down here. If you put this number first, then you better put the 6 first. It doesn't really matter. If you do the 5 first, then make sure the 4 is first up here. So either the 4 and 5 are here, or vice versa. What's a -1 minus 4? -5. And what's 6 minus 5? What is -5 over 1? So just write -5. That is not my answer, but put a box around -5, put a box around this. Do I now have a point and a slope? What's the general form for point slope form?
Put the fraction and you put n equals -3.
You put the fraction.
I mean, you put the 2 points.
All right, I'm hearing y minus. Do you remember the boxes?
Yeah.
This is your form that you've got to memorize for point slope. Just start entering numbers. What do I put in this spot? Go over here. You're using this information.
-5. No.
4. Let me put that in red. Where did that come from? That came from
Point.
that 4 over there.
You put -5.
Equal, what goes here?
-5.
-5. That came from over here. X minus
And then
5.
you're done.
Done.
But that's what we saw.
You don't have to do distribution. That's considered point slope form. The whole point of me doing that one first is because you do that one first no matter what. Whether you're looking for slope intercept standard, you do that first. If that's what they want, you are done. Put a box around it. Now I want you to convert this into slope intercept. What is slope intercept? What rule? What idea?
Get that one.
You're thinking standard. You're thinking standard. Y alone. Write that down. We want Y alone. For this one, I don't want distribution. I don't want distribution, so let's get rid of it. Let's write this down first. Y minus 4 equals -5, X minus 5. So to get to this, we got to start with this. This times this times this. What's a -5 times a -5?
Oh my lord.
Plus 25. Is Y by itself? What do I gotta do?
Gotta add 4.
The 4's go away. -5x plus 29. Is Y by itself?
Yeah, by so.
Box it in. You are done. But notice, what if you were only told to do slope intercept? Well, you still have to do this. If this is what they're looking for, you stop. If this is what they're looking for, you got to do this and this. Standard form.
I know
Nope.
people told me just stuff.
What? Well, that's their choice after high school. But yeah, what we're doing in high school is trying to give you the option to go in any direction. What are the 3 rules for standard?
No negative numbers?
No, just
No,
Oh, I got fraction. No fractions.
no fractions.
X must be positive.
X must be positive.
and Y by itself.
No, X and Y must be the same side.
Correct. X and Y, same side. You use whatever helps you. This is a good question. Ryan said, do I have to go back to point slope now? Well, look at this. Does this have any fractions in it? Don't have everybody's attention. We're going to get the same result. I can keep retesting until 2020. But if you don't pay attention, then we're going to get the same results on Friday. Any fractions here?
Nah.
So why not use that? I'm already done with step 1 if I look at this. I could go back to the beginning, but why do that when this is a perfectly good equation? So I'm going to start with this. Y equals negative 5x plus 29. No fractions. Is x positive?
No.
No. So I got to move it. How do you move negative 5x? Plus 5x. I've got 5x plus y equals 29. This one away. Is x positive? Okay, I'll check that off. X and y all alone on one side. You're done. This is how easy the first three problems of that section should have been. But you can't get to this, and you can't get to this unless you memorize this little pattern here, where you're putting your y into here. You're putting your 5 into here. You got to do your slope into here. All of this hinges on you doing this slope formula and getting the negative 5 so that you can construct this. Once you got this, the rest of this is easy. I'll leave this up for a second. That's what the first three questions on the retest are going to look like. That's as tough as the calculation work is going to get this whole year. We have to do a little bit of stuff with quadratics. Eventually we're going to get to something that looks like this. Parabolas, that's all vocabulary. This is as hard as the year is going to get. If you can do this, you're going to be fine. But if you don't get to the point where you're successful, it's going to be tough the rest of the year. Is that the whole front page?
Yeah.
Turn this over. Don't do any test in the order that it's given. Try to find the easy stuff first. Which of these is probably the easiest problem to start with? Point slope. Very good. So go to the point slope problem. That's the second one on the page. And why is that one easy? Well, what does M stand for?
Slope.
Slope. Is that a point? Well, you've got the point and slope in front of you already. I don't have to do the y2 minus y1 x2 over x2 minus x1. I don't have to do any of this because I've already got the slope. Just plug it in. Let's plug it in first. What goes here?
-3,
What goes here?
2, -2,
-2,
-2.
2. That would get you half credit. That'll get you 5 points out of 10. Simplify a little bit. What's subtraction of a negative? Here, I just leave it because I just have subtraction of 2. I don't have to do distributive property because this is the most basic of all the equation forms. I'm done. I'm going to use the term path of least resistance the rest of the year. You don't do the hardest problems first of all. You do the easiest ones. Let's take a look at the rest, see what looks like it might be easy.
Slope intercept one.
Slope intercept?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say standard's the hardest? So let's do slope intercept. Go to the bottom one. Go to the very bottom of the page.
Oh, sure.
What are we looking for slope intercept? What idea? Take a look back here. What did I write down next to slope intercept? Y alone. Did I get rid of the parentheses? I did distribution. Same thing. Go down to here. What is negative 1/2 times 4? Negative 4. What's the second part of that distribution? Positive 2. Don't freeze up when you see the fractions. use parentheses on the calculator. If I want to do that, I'm actually doing this. -1 in parentheses times -4. That'll get you a +2.
Wow. +2. Oh, well, no.
What do I do?
Why don't you put the parentheses around the 2 and the fractions?
You're thinking of standard. Good. That's what happened on the test. People started doing standard stuff with this. I don't care about fractions for this. That's fine. +2.
Both sides. It's you done?
Done.
Ah,
Do not overthink these.
Length up.
What the gentlemen in the front of the room were talking about is what everybody ended up doing. They ended up doing standard work for this. Do I have a fraction here? That's fine. Don't get rid of the fraction when you're doing slope-intercept. The only time you get rid of the fraction is when you're doing standard. And I want to do standard last, because it involves more steps. Go back to the top of the page. What am I doing here? Slope-intercept. But,
Same thing we did in West Point.
how did I do slope-intercept on this side? Don't look at me. Look at this. How did I get to this point? You are going to do point slope to get to slope-intercept.
Yeah.
That's how we did it on this side. That's how we're going to do it on this side. So tell me what this looks like first. Tell me what that looks like. And over here? 4. Is that slope intercept though?
No, you can't get some water like that. So add to the best. First, try.
Done. The key is doing point slope first.
Point slope first.
And that's exactly what we did on this side. We did point slope, we found that, then we used it to get our slope intercept. But you're not going to get anywhere unless you memorize this y minus a box equals a box times x minus a box. What's the hardest problem to do? Which form?
How's that hard?
That's hard. Standard is the most difficult just because there's more steps. I'm going to write the steps. No fractions. X is positive. X and Y, same side. Help me out. Last problem. Do we have any fractions here? Nope. Perfect. Distribute. What do I get?
Get 3x.
Negative 3x.
Is it a pot? Is it a negative?
Negative times a negative plus 6. No fractions is x positive. If it's not positive, what do I do to it? Move it. Almost there. I need X and Y all alone on the same side. They're
Minus
on the
3.
same side, what do I gotta get rid of?
Do 9 minus 3. The heck?
Minus 9, that gives me
X ain't the
3x plus y equals negative 3. That's my answer. Box that in. That goes right here.
What do I need this for?
Think about what we did. Point slope was the key to everything. Then I started doing slope intercept questions, but I can't do slope intercept unless I've got point slope. Look at this problem right here. Ah. They gave me the point slope in the problem. If it's not there, you've got to do that first. Go back to page 1. This is what you need to memorize. How many times did we actually use this on this section?
The whole time?
Once. And it was only because we didn't have the slope. If you don't have the slope, you got to find it somehow. On this page, we had the slope. We had the slope. We didn't need to do that. Pay attention to what's given to you. This can be a very easy section for you. Do you think you can do better on Friday? I have faith.